Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to the F1 Word. Now, 2025 has seen the grid get a proper good shake-up when it comes to driver lineups, and that has given us some really fascinating and exciting pairings to keep an eye on over the course of the season. So, with the season opening Australian Grand Prix just starting to poke its head above the horizon, what a weird way to phrase that. Anyway, I thought I'd do what I do worst to make some predictions specifically on which drivers will win each of the teammate battles this year. Let me know down in the comments how many you think I've got right, and yes, absolutely none is a viable answer. And also let me know who you're picking to come out on top at each team by the end of 2025. Let's get started then with Red Bull and the battle between reigning world champion Max Verstappen and new teammate Liam Lawson. Look, I cannot see this going any other way than Verstappen winning comfortably. Lawson is quick, we know that, he's shown that, and so I think he will be a lot closer to him than many seem to be predicting, but I don't see him beating the Dutchman unless Max decides to sit out 2/3 of the season or something like that. And to be honest, there's not much more to say, and so with that being kind of an obvious one, I'll make it a little bit more interesting and say that come the end of the year, Lawson will, on average, manage to keep himself within a quarter of a second in qualifying, which maybe doesn't sound spectacular, but I feel like that's pretty much where he needs to be to keep hold of his seat for 2026. And for comparison, if we remove Silverstone, where he was more than 12 seconds off his teammate due to the wet-dry session and his spin, of course, Sergio Perez was, again, on average, just over 7/10 off Verstappen in quali over the course of the year, so a quarter of a second away for Liam Lawson wouldn't be all that bad at all. But yeah, Verstappen's going to win this one, I think, comfortably. As for the reigning Constructors' Champions McLaren, we've got another year of Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri, which is such a great lineup to watch as a fan. Can't wait for this one again this year. So Norris has won this battle for the last 2 seasons, and last year won both the qualifying and race head-to-heads as well as the points battle fairly comfortably. I don't think it will be as easy for him this year, but I still reckon Norris will just about come out on top again. That said, I'd be very surprised if Piastri isn't closer to Norris in 2025, and I can see him continuing to improve, closing that gap and maybe even starting to beat him in those battles in coming years, but that's something we can discuss another time. Gotta say as well, if these two continue to work well together and the team manage everything in the right way, if they have the car to do so as well, of course, they've got the lineup to make sure that they should be in the battle for the Constructors' title again this year at the very least. Next up, it's Ferrari and a lineup I cannot wait to watch. It is going to be so fascinating and could be a thriller to keep an eye on this year. Many have made their minds up that Lewis Hamilton is done and Charles Leclerc will wipe the floor with him. And although I do agree that Leclerc will win this battle, it's far from a foregone conclusion. This is very much Leclerc's team at the moment. He's been in that seat since 2019 and knows the team inside out, whereas all of it is new to Hamilton, and the Brit has also never driven a Ferrari-powered car in anger, something to remember, so there is a lot for him to adapt to, and that will take time. It is worth saying, though, that Carlos Sainz has run Leclerc close over the last couple of years, and so he has been far from on track the out-and-out number one. Therefore, if Hamilton can get up to speed and settle quickly, he will surely run Charles a lot closer than some seem to think. That said, I do still think Leclerc will win in the end. To add a bit more to this, though, I'll say Leclerc wins in terms of race head-to-heads and points come the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi. But how's this for a prediction? The two drivers tie in the qualifying head-to-head with less than 1/10 of a second on average between them. Why not? I seriously cannot wait for this one. It's going to be great. Mercedes is another team with a fascinating pairing in George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, but much like Verstappen versus Lawson, I cannot see this going any other way than a Russell win. Yeah, Antonelli has so much potential, and as we've seen in junior categories, he has the speed, and that's all well and good, but he's still very young and very raw, so going up against a driver who has been in the sport since 2019, and who has been with the team for 3 seasons now, is going to be tough, and the idea that he might beat George, who came out on top against Hamilton twice in 3 seasons, is a massive ask. This is probably my line of the week, really, but I honestly do think this will be closer than perhaps people think. And I've got to say as well, too many are writing Antonelli off already. Truth is, though, and to be fair, with him being so young and very much unproven, it could go either way. Now, Antonelli has said he doesn't want people using the phrase replacing Hamilton, even though that is factually correct. That is exactly what he's doing. But come on, wow, those are some pretty big boots to fill. Good luck to him. But yeah, I'll say Russell wins this one, although, if I'm being honest, I'll be rooting for Antonelli. As for Aston Martin, I mean, is this even a question? Fernando Alonso will beat Lance Stroll. Anyway, moving on. At Alpine, Oh, fine, I'll justify it. Alonso is an exceptional driver who has proven his speed and ability time and time again, and so I just cannot for a second imagine Stroll beating him over the course of the season. Will the Canadian beat him in qualifying from time to time? Yes, of course he will. Will he come out on top in the odd race? Yes, absolutely. But over a full 24 race season, this is only going one way. Stroll is, whether people like it or not, a better driver than he's given credit for and has delivered some very strong results and performances, but he is still nowhere near Fernando's level. There we go. Now, actually moving on to Alpine this time, this is another pretty easy one to predict, although if we believe the rumours about a driver swap at some point this year, it does get a little bit more complicated. Poor Jack Doohan hasn't even turned a wheel in anger in Alpine yet, and his seat is already under threat from Franco Colapinto. And as I said a few weeks back, I can't shake the feeling that decision has already been made. So Doohan's best shot is to get out there and beat Pierre Gasly in the opening however many races he gets of the season. Problem is, I just don't see that happening. Maybe at a race or two, perhaps even a couple of qualifying sessions. But Gasly has far more experience and is very much the team leader at the Enstone outfit now. So I think he will still come out on top. And if they are together for the full season, I think the Frenchman wins this one comfortably. You'd think, given the fact he had more races than Doohan in F1 last year, that Colapinto will be closer to Gasly if he replaces Doohan at any stage. And you might even argue the fact I'm saying that already means that Alpine will be justified in putting the pressure on from the start. I don't know. But even if they do swap them out and Franco is closer, I still think Gasly wins that head-to-head as well. I do hope Doohan gets a good run though and gets the chance to settle and show what he can do before the team swings the axe. F1's pretty ruthless though, so maybe not. On to a lineup I really can't wait to see in action in 2025, and that is Esteban Ocon and Ollie Bearman down at Haas. Yes, really. It's a whole new lineup for the team and a really interesting mix of youth and experience. Long-time viewers of the channel know that I often come out fighting Ocon's corner because although he can be a bit, let's say, punchy at times, he's a much better and faster driver than some seem to be willing to accept. Couple that with the speed we've seen from Bearman during his impressive Super Sub appearances in 2024, and this is going to be so much fun to watch. As of right now, I would say Ocon wins this head-to-head, but I don't think it will be as comfortable as, say, Verstappen versus Lawson or Alonso versus Stroll, for example. In fact, I'm even going to go as far as to predict that come the end of the season, there is no more than 3 points between them in the final championship standings. Oh, the regret in my voice already. And also no more than a 10.5 between them on average over one lap, just about in Ocon's favour. I know we've got some great lineups this year, but perhaps surprisingly, this is one of the ones I'm most intrigued by. The Racing Bulls pairing of Yuki Tsunoda and Isack Hadjar is another one I find oddly fascinating. I think it's because we're surely reaching a stage now where Tsunoda's time with the Red Bull family is coming to an end unless Lawson fails miserably in the two swap seats. And so we're kind of at the point now where we're looking at who could take the reins of that team over the coming years. And the first one to get a trial, if you like, is Hadjar. He impressed me in F2 last year, where of course he ended the season as runner-up in the championship, and yet this promotion still feels pretty quick to me. I suppose it was done more out of necessity than anything given Sergio Perez's departure from the main team and Red Bull's need to shuffle drivers around. But anyway, back to the topic of the video before I go off on another tangent. I like Hadjar a lot and I think he'll do okay this year, but much like the main team, I think this one will be a solid win for Tsunoda, the established driver at the team. Maybe another one that will be a bit closer than some might predict, but probably not all that close in the end. Who knows though, one of these lineups will cause an upset this year and perhaps the Racing Bulls battle will be the one to provide it. The penultimate battle is down at Williams as Alex Albon takes on a new teammate Carlos Sainz, and oh my word, this is going to be fantastic in 2025. Albon has been with the team for 3 seasons now, feels like 2, but it is 3, and has comfortably beaten all of his teammates in that time, although those teammates were for the most part Nicholas Latifi and Logan Sargent, and so perhaps that doesn't really say an awful lot. And Albon was pushed a lot harder by Franco Colapinto across the back end of last season. As for Sainz, he pushed Leclerc hard in 2024 and was closer to him in the head-to-head quali battle than he had been in 23, although there was a bigger gap between them in the race battle last year, but the Spaniard was only 6 points behind his Ferrari teammate in 2023. So maybe it all evens out a little bit, but it certainly felt like he was pushing him harder last season, so I can totally understand why some believe this will be an easy Sainz win. He really impressed a lot of people last season. I still think this will be much closer than many of you may think, and there could, on the point side of things, only be a couple between them. Never underestimate the importance of experience within a team either. Sainz is new to Williams, and Albon, as I've already said, has been there for 3 years and has, in my view, led that team very well over the last few seasons. So he's not going to roll over for Sainz this season, and he will be very tough to beat. If it feels a little bit like I'm waffling, which is pretty much what this video is, it's been a while since I've had a good waffle, to be fair, but anyway, and if it feels like I'm trying to put off making a call, it's because, honestly, I am. Sorry. I just find this a lot tougher than a lot of people seem to. So I'll go with Sainz to pip Albon in the race head-to-head and points come the end of the season, but call it a tie or close to a tie in the quali head-to-head and predict that we'll see less than a tenth between them over one lap across the whole year. There we go. I bit the bullet and made a prediction, but I will say I also wouldn't be at all surprised if it all goes the other way and in Albon's favour. But to confirm, I am going with Carlos Sainz for the Williams teammate battle victory. Either way, don't care. This one's going to be great. Trust me, mark my words. And finally, it's Sauber, and as much as I like Gabriel Bortoleto, as impressed as I was with how well he drove in F2 and completely understand why McLaren rate him so highly, Nico Hulkenberg was just exceptional in 2024 up against a very quick and far more experienced teammate than he will have this year. So I would be very shocked if this isn't a relatively comfortable Hulkenberg victory. And no, this isn't one that I think will be close in terms of head-to-head numbers, but it will be close when it comes to points, because unless the team has something up its sleeve and has a totally new car, which seems unlikely given the understandable focus on the Audi switch and therefore the 2026 regulation changes, I can't see the team picking up more than 5, 6, 7 points, somewhere around there, unless we get a totally chaotic race that sees half the field retire or something. I do hope Bortoleto is able to lean on the experience of Hulkenberg to help him get up to speed, and I also hope he's able to have a very good season, but I think it'll be tough for both of them, but it's an interesting lineup to keep an eye on nevertheless. So super quickly to confirm, my teammate battle winners for 2025 are Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, Tsunoda, Sainz and Hulkenberg. That is it though for this one, but as I always say when it comes to predictions, please remember not to take them too seriously. They're just a bit of silly pre-season fun, and of course they are just my opinions, but you can let me know your picks and your thoughts on the 2025 grid in the comment section down below. And for the latest news, reaction and analysis from the world of Formula One, head on over to planetf1.com. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.